opportunity to travel across the U.S. and I've observed churches and I've observed church folk. Y'all know that's just what I do. And to my dismay, I've become concerned about a sense of apathy that exudes from some of our members and the resulting drama in the church. How many of y'all, let me put my glasses up. Y'all know, for the new kids, if I look over my glasses, I ain't seeing nobody. Now if I do like this here, I'm looking at everybody. Because I want to see. How many, let me see just by a show of hands, how many of you know that there's drama in the church? The folk who don't raise their hands are the ones who... Somebody say, oops. All of our churches, we have the classics. Everybody has the classics. We have the liars and the backbiters. We have the stone-throwing hand-hiders. We got baby mama drama. We got baby daddy drama. We got all kinds of drama in the church. And I came here to talk about something. One category of drama that I think I want to address tonight that I don't hear a whole lot of conversation about is procrastination. We may have good intentions about talking about it, but somehow or another we just don't quite get around to it. We procrastinate when talking about procrastinating. And procrastinate from the Latin word procrastinus, I want to let y'all know I did go to school. Which freely translated, actually I'm reading it in case y'all, I ain't in the spirit, I'm on my paper. It freely translated, it means to forward to tomorrow. And here's a quick definition that I didn't quite find in Webster, but I thought it was pretty good. It says, the definition of procrastinate is putting things off and avoiding them as long as possible, despite conscious willingness to perhaps even desire to get them done. In case that was just too much, let me read you a little more. Procrastination is my curse. It brings me so much sorrow. Of course, I can quit most any time. In fact, I will. But let me see here. Let's look at the word was read for us. St. John chapter 5, and I want to read from the Amplified version, and if you all don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. And those of you who have to stand, feel free, and those of you who don't, feel free, just, do you, amen. I'll be reading the Amplified version. It says, later on, there was a Jewish festival for which Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem a pool near the sheep gate. This pool in the Hebrew is called Bethesda, having 5 porches or doorways. In these lay a great number of sick folks, some blind, some crippled, some paralyzed or shriveled up, waiting for the bubbling up of the water. For an angel of the Lord went down at appointed seasons into the pool and moved and stirred up the water. Whoever then first, after the stirring up of the water, stepped in was cured of whatever disease with which he was afflicted. There was a certain man there who had suffered with a deep-seated and lingering disorder for 38 years. When Jesus noticed him lying there helpless, not knowing that he had already been a long time in that condition, he said to him, "Do you want to become well?" In other words, are you really in earnest about getting well? Well, the invalid answered, "Sir, I have nobody when the water is moving to put me in the pool. But while I'm trying to come into it myself, somebody else steps down ahead of me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your bed and walk." Instantly, the man became well and recovered his strength and picked up his bed and walked. But that happened on the Sabbath. Tonight, I want to raise a question with you. The question is a very, very simple question, but it's all a question only you can answer for yourself. And the question is, do you want it bad enough? All right. Well, look at your neighbor and say, this is a safe question. Ask him, do you want it bad enough? Another way of asking that question, how bad do you want it? When I think of this theme, I immediately am taken back many, many years to a leadership training school. And in that setting, where I heard Reverend Dr. Milton H. Lawrence, who was a prominent CME pastor from Florida, preaching. And in his message, he asked the question. Okay, stop touching the microphone. This thing is all sensitive, y'all. I sound good. Give me one of these and buffalo. Okay, in his message, this is where my finger was. In his message, he asked the question, do you want to know why your situation hasn't gotten any better? Well, I sat on the edge of my seat, and because I really needed to hear the answer. Sometimes, you can listen. Am I the only one? It seems like sometimes things just don't get any better. It seems like everybody else. Why is everybody prospering, not me? Why am I the one not getting you? Why is my finances always funny? Why is my man crazy? Why am I kids getting that bad? Why does my stuff fit? Well, I'm not answering that. See, there's always some question in there you really can't answer for yourself. And I needed to know the answer. And he preached that thing, one of the longest sermons I ever heard him preach. 1 hour and 15 minutes. I sat on the edge of my seat while he fleshed out that question. And finally, Dr. Barnes answered the question. He said, if you want to know why your situation hasn't gotten any better, it's because it ain't bad enough yet. It took me about 10 years to figure out that Dr. Barnes was right. Because I discovered that as long as you're trying to do for yourself, by yourself, you are not going to make any moves to do any better. As long as you think somebody else is going to do the work for you, you won't lift a hand to help yourself. I remember, I'm reminded of a young man I used to date a long time ago. This guy was a perfect gentleman until this one day. Brothers, y'all ain't gonna appreciate this. I'm gonna talk to the sisters.